Hello and welcome to the third lecture in the series, which is on preparing your application documents. This is the overview of the lecture series, and we are at the third stage where we are going to learn about completing our online application as well as learn about how to prepare the documents that will be needed to submit along with your online application. The learning objectives of this particular lecture includes writing your SOP, how to draft your SOP, what kind of things should be written into your SOP, how to write each of the sections of the SOP, and what are the other things that you need to remember while drafting your SOP. We will also talk about the letter of recommendation and what could be the expectations from the admissions committee from your letter of recommendation. Other parts of the online application like your resume, your CV, reporting of scores, transcripts, we will also discuss about the other things which are necessary along with your online application. So, let us start with writing your SOP. So, what is a statement of purpose or SOP? An SOP is basically an essay on your education journey and career goals. This is one of the most, if not the most important document in your application. So, just like your mark sheets will talk about how good you are in academics, your GRE and TOEFL scores will talk about how good you are in English proficiency, in quantitative abilities. Your recommendation letters will talk about how good a student you are from a teacher's perspective or a professor's perspective. This SOP or statement of purpose will be your direct communication with the admissions committee, where you have an opportunity to directly talk to the committee and be able to show them your abilities, your capabilities, your journey as to how you have reached at this stage and what you plan to do further by enrolling into the program at their university. So, you should grab this opportunity with both hands and try to make the best of it. This is a very important document to showcase all your abilities. What the committee is specifically looking for is, are you able to express your thoughts? Are you able to clearly mention about what are your career aspirations? Have you thought about them? What really motivates you? They really want to understand what you are as a person, how you communicate, or what has been your journey so far. And if you have had achievements on the way, that would be more than helpful to highlight. The committee will definitely read between the lines. What I mean by that is, when you mention things from one paragraph to another, they will try to connect and visualize what a student goes through, and they would have a better after reading so many SOPs for so many years, they definitely have a better idea about what you are as a student. So, do not worry about hiding anything. Whatever is your profile, you can clearly explain to the committee, and even if there is a negative point which you feel, you should definitely mention about it and try to explain and justify it by explaining the circumstances and all the things surrounding it. Okay, so let us look at the things that you need to remember. So, one of the first things that you need to remember is that, as I said, this is the only document where you directly talk to the admissions committee. With this document, you can imagine this to be your life story. This is your complete story as to how you were brought into pharmacy, what have you done during your 4 years in your bachelor's, and now what you plan to do with your masters, 2 years of masters and beyond that. So, this is a complete journey, a professional showcase of your abilities basically. You can try to highlight instances from your life and blend it into a story. This is not something where they are expecting a point by point, step by step things about how you have come up till this stage, but they are looking for more of a story of how things in your life changed, if there has been any specific aspect of your life which affected your studies. You may be playing a sport professionally, and so if that affected your academics. So, those are the kind of things which they would want to know and understand from your perspective as to how you look at your growth till now. And as I said, the reader should be able to picturize you. So, after reading your SOP, they should be able to understand your nature and your academic position. So, they should be able to imagine that you as a person are standing in front of them and talking to them through that SOP. So, as this is your story, you should never copy this from another person's SOP. You can definitely have a look at example SOPs and try to get an idea about how people write it or how it should be, how it should flow, but never copy anything from other people's SOP, because this is something which is specific to you, and the more you are able to add things from your life or your instances, I am sure at the start you may think that there may not be many points to highlight, but as you start thinking about this and writing this, you will realize there are enough points which you can highlight and mention in your SOP. So this is an exercise which takes time, and it should be given enough time so that you are able to recollect many things. It's not possible to write an SOP within a day or two. So I would suggest you take at least a month or so, or at least a couple of weeks to think about what may be the different points that you would want to mention, and you start jotting down those points somewhere, and then you can think of how things need to be moved and weaved into a story. So this is an exercise which should be taken very seriously, and if done well, I think this will definitely help you a lot in your application. Okay. So also what you should remember is you should not try to show off your newly developed English abilities. So just because you have gone through a GRE and you know now so many words, it is not expected that you have to use a lot of flowery language or a lot of fancy terms to show that your English is very good. The words need to flow as naturally as possible, because as I said, they should be able to visualize you. So the more naturally you speak in a natural flow, that would help them to visualize, and so that's why it is very important that you talk very naturally and you write as you speak. So that is why you need to jot those points and then try to weave it into a story. Also remember that this is not your resume in sentences, so don't try to cover a lot of points or all the points which you may mention on your resume, let's say, but try to weave it into a story. It should flow just like a movie, which has a start, a middle section, and then an end, right? So also make sure that you don't copy or paste any sentence from anywhere, because there are specific specialized softwares for this which can easily pick up those kind of things that you have copied, let's say, from a sentence from somewhere or the other. So there is no need to do that. You can just talk as naturally as possible. You can try to get some idea or get some examples online or through a friend or so, but don't copy it. Try to make it as much as possible about yourself and personalized about you. Okay. Next, let's see the different parts of this SOP. So I would like to divide the SOP into three sections. The first is the introduction, second is the main body, and third is the conclusion. Your SOP should have this structure. If not, it would look absurd and it will not flow naturally. So we will go through the details that should go into each of these sections, but if you look at it overall, in the introduction section you should introduce yourself, you should talk a bit about yourself, your upbringing, and then in the main body you should mainly focus this on your pharmacy studies, the 4 years where you have studied. You should be able to highlight enough points in this main body section from your pharmacy studies, and weave that into a story so that you can conclude in the end that based on this professional abilities that you have gained over the last 4 years, what is your plan over the next 2 years and then beyond that. So in this way, in the introduction we will come till the point of joining pharmacy studies. The main body will focus on the 4 years that you spent studying pharmacy, and then the conclusion will be after pharmacy what you want to do. So in that way you should try to structure your SOP. So let's look into what should go into the introduction. In the introduction, you can start if there is a famous saying or a quote which really resonates with your life, which you really like, and which you feel is something that you really believe in, or you really like that quote. You can start with that. You can mention that quote and say that how this really is very applicable onto your life, or what you think about, or how you feel about, and that way you can start and start to introduce yourself as to how what kind of family you were born into, basically meaning how many siblings you have, what does your parents do, not in great detail, but in just one paragraph. If you can introduce yourself, your family, this will show your upbringing, the kind of environment that you have grown up in, and then it will lay the foundation on which what you studied in pharmacy, which will come in the next sections. This particular paragraph should also address how you decided to pursue pharmacy, and this is a very important aspect. So I would suggest that you take some time into thinking about that. What is it that really motivated you to join pharmacy? I am sure you would have thought about this question when you completed your 11th 12th, at that time, about what you want to do further, and from a few options you may have chosen pharmacy, but whatever may have gone through your mind at that time, you can try to think about that, recollect, and try to see if you can add those kind of points here, and really try to show what really motivated you. To give you an example, some people are very are affected by some disease. Someone at home may be affected by some disease, and so students get interested in that particular disease and would like to develop a drug against that. That could be one of the reason why someone plans to join pharmacy after 12th, or it could be some kind of a epidemic situation where we had coronaviruses or bird flus and things like that. So there has been a renewed interest into molecular biology and research in general. So that could be your motivation as well. So these are a few examples which students use from their life to show how they were drawn into pharmacy, and you can use that to get the reader into your particular desire and motive to get into pharmacy program. Okay. So in the body, which will be the main section of your SOP, here we would like to highlight the main points from your pharmacy studies. So what I mean by main points is the things which you really liked from that 4-year program. So you can start thinking right from your first years, the kind of subjects that you like, the kind of specific aspects of that subjects, and this should really connect with the course that you want to pursue. So let us say if you are planning to pursue a master's in pharmacology, so you can use examples from the 4-year course, like what exactly you liked about pharmacology from your 4-year course, or if you can pinpoint that exact point at which you really thought, okay, I want to learn more and I want to pursue a master's in pharmacology. I am sure there would be many such instances during the 4 years where you would have realized, okay, this is really interesting and I want to know more and I want to learn further. So those kind of things you can try to highlight here. So this is the aim is not to really show like what you have studied, but try to show what really excited you and what really made you think to pursue a master's in that particular program. You can here you can also highlight your extracurricular activities that you performed during the 4 years, as well as co-curricular activities. Somewhere you may have gone to give a presentation, somewhere you may have given a lecture, a small lecture to the class. So those kind of things also you can highlight, which really help you improve in your professional capabilities, and it does not necessarily mean that it needs to help you in gaining more marks as such or a better grade, but if you can show how you were able to improve your presentation capabilities, let's say, or public speaking abilities. So in that cases also you can highlight those skills which you were able to develop during these 4 years. The internships that you did during the 4 year, even those can be highlighted here, what you learned from those internships, from that time, that can definitely go in here as well. And it should not just be point wise as to highlighting the things that you did, but it should flow as a story. Let's say if you have one paragraph dedicated on what you learned, how you got motivated, or some instances where which showed that you had an interest in this particular subject, then that paragraph can focus on that. Another paragraph can focus on the extracurricular and co-curricular activities, and in such a way you can try to have a good flow, rather than converting your resume points into sentences into this section. So that is not what we would want. Okay, and so a storytelling is very important factor for your SOP, and you should it should be coming out as naturally while reading. It should be coming out naturally as possible. You should end this particular section by completely underscoring that point as to how you got motivated to pursue your masters, and then now that you want to pursue your masters in your field of choice, you are taking the next step, so that it will lead into the conclusion, where we will now talk about what is the reason you have chosen this particular university, right? What is the reason why you have chosen this particular program? So you can highlight those reasons in this last paragraph, which will be the concluding paragraph. Here you can highlight specific aspects of the university you like, why you like the program. So as we have been discussing in the last couple of lectures, you can mention here about the research interests that really made the choice for you. You can highlight some faculty profiles with whom, after seeing their profiles or after knowing their work, which really inspired you to choose this field or choose this program and to pursue a master's degree. Here you can also mention what you want to gain from this course. If you are able to point that out and put that into one sentence or two, it will really help, because it will show that you are dedicated and you have a clear plan in your mind. This is exactly what you want to gain from this course, and how you want to use the skills which you gain from this course beyond the master's degree that you want, the career that you are planning to develop. So you can indicate that plan as well, and mention clearly, at least in the last sentence, that you would want an admit to that particular university, so that you can then pursue this plan, which you have well thought of, and which you have really aspired to pursue. Okay. So in this way you can write the complete SOP. Of course, it will not be 100% correct when you write it in the first go itself. You can try to get it read by some seniors or somebody who would be able to give you some insights into how it flows, and then it would always require 2 or 3 settings or reviews to be able to come up with the final version. The flow needs to be good. It should be a story, and the story needs to be weaved in such a way that it doesn't sound abnormal, or it doesn't sound something which is just being added for the purpose. These things are easily picked up by the committee, because they see hundreds of SOPs every year, and so try to be as natural as possible and add as many points as possible to highlight your particular personality. Okay, next let's talk about the letter of recommendation. Here we will discuss about the things that you need to remember while requesting a recommendation, as well as what is expected from your recommendation letter by the admissions committee. So what is a recommendation letter? It is basically a letter which is given by a professor or some authority in charge who can vouch and specify your capabilities, your professional abilities, and they can really say that, okay, this is a student who I have taught, who I have seen how this student works or functions, and I would like to recommend this person to the master's program at your university. So that is why we are getting this letter drafted and written from the professor. So it is usually written by your supervisors or the professor who may have taught you for a considerable duration of time, and it's not necessary that that this person has to be someone in like an HOD, a head of department, or a principal at your college. Even if it is an assistant professor, or even a lab assistant for that matter, if they can add specific aspects about your personality, if they can specify specific things about your personality and your professional growth, your abilities, they can definitely write a LOR, or letter of recommendation, for you. Okay, so it's not necessary that the person has to be in a very high position to be able to write an LOR. So let's look at how you should select your recommenders. So as I said, it does not need necessarily to be a person in very high position, but at the same time you should select them based on what kind of skills or abilities they can highlight. So we are trying here to get we are not trying here to get as many people possible to say the same thing about you. What we are trying to do is we have many people say different things about you. So if you are having 3 recommendation letters, we don't want the 3 people, the 3 recommenders to point the same exact thing in different letters. We want them to highlight different aspects. Each of the recommender should highlight different aspects about your personality, and that is why you should select your recommenders in such a way that they can each highlight different abilities of yours. One could be someone who you have practical work experience with. Someone could be from the theory side, who may have helped you in some aspects of theory learning, or someone could be from the sports side, or have really supervised you in some committee or something like that. So it is also not uncommon to get an LOR from a social organization, or somebody who you have been associated with for an extra co-curricular activity. As long as it is connected to your professional, to pharmacy and your professional capabilities, you can definitely get a recommendation letter from such a person, and this would be fine as well. So make sure you select your recommenders appropriately, and you should also provide some guidelines to your recommenders. When you ask them to write a recommendation letter for you, you should let them know if they don't have the experience of writing it, or if they don't know much about it. It needs to be done in a professional way, so it should always be on a letterhead of the recommender, along with his contact information clearly mentioned. His or her designation and affiliation should all be mentioned on the letterhead itself. In the first paragraph, they should highlight how they know you. How does that person know you? How long has that person been associated with you? These things give an idea to the committee about how much time that the person has got to evaluate you. Let's say if a recommender has got 3 years and that they have evaluated you for a particular skill, that will definitely hold much more value than another skill which another recommender got only 6 months to evaluate for. So that way this is going to be very important. Make a practice of giving your resume or CV to the recommender, so that he or she has all your details in front of them while they draft your recommendation letter. They can list out specific points that are associated with them into that LOR. They should also provide all the background information on the application. You should be talking to the recommender on why you have selected that university, what you expect to gain, what are your career aspirations. These things should be clearly communicated to the recommender, and they should be provided enough time to think about what they want to write and what sort of information they want to give. The contact information particularly is very important. The email address of the recommender is very important also. A lot of times universities email the recommenders, and then they provide a link on which they can go and submit some recommendation for the student. So they require a 1-page recommendation letter, but along with that they may also require this kind of an online form to be submitted. So make sure you confirm the exact email address that the professor uses, and which one they would want to provide in case the university sends a link to complete. So remember about this as well. Coming to what does the committee expect? Okay, so here the admissions committee basically is looking from a teacher's perspective, from a professor's perspective, how you are as a student. I'm sure that a lot of students have similar capabilities or things which a lot of students are capable of doing, but they are basically just looking for points which can highlight or which can make you stand out. So these things are easily caught by teachers and professors because they see hundreds of students every year. They are able to easily remember students who have different capabilities or who are better in let's say studies or in some different aspects. The teachers are able to pick that up, and so the committee is trying to look for that particular information. You have to use specific instances and have substantial details in the recommendation letter. If your recommender is just mentioning that the so and so student is hardworking, is is well trained, those kind of words would not suffice. You need to be able to give examples of why the recommender thinks you are hardworking, why the recommender thinks you are well trained. Those kind of aspects need to be clearly elaborated on, and the more detail you add and the more specific instances that you can add, these kind of things may help. Let's say a supervisor, a recommender who has supervised you on particular committee for some event, and you were supposed to manage an event, and that particular event there was some hassle during the event, and how you were able to if you were able to correct that problem, those kind of things that person can highlight. These things would really help. So you can try to talk and remind your professors as well, and you can just suggest to your recommender as well ki if possible then they can try to highlight these kind of points if they can. So these are some of the things which the admissions committee will always look for. It is always also not necessary that they are looking for only the polished aspects of your profile. Sometimes it happens that you struggle in a particular subject or so, but then your professor helps you to develop more abilities or to learn the subject better, and then you are able to score better in that particular subject area. So these kind of things can also be highlighted because they would show that you have learning ability, you have you can be trained, you are willing to bide time and really dedicate yourself towards improving yourself. So these kind of things can be highlighted. It's always not possible that everything goes on smoothly. There are always hiccups, and the more things you can highlight where things look natural to the committee as well, it will add to your application. So remember about this as well. So a few other points which you should remember is that the recommendation letter is supposed to be not supposed to be viewed by the student as such. It should be submitted in a sealed envelope to the university, or it should be submitted online, so that where the student doesn't get a chance to actually have a look at the recommendation letter. Nevertheless, it is still your right to be able to view that recommendation letter and see what kind, if you want to have a look at it, the university needs to make it available to you. So they will always give you an option where you will have to click that option if you want to waive your right to see that recommendation letter, or if you don't want to waive your right. So I would always suggest that you rather waive your right, so that it can show that you are confident whatever your recommender will write, you are confident that it will be correct and it will be a just recommendation. So it is always better to waive your right so that you can look more confident. Remember that you have to submit exactly the number of recommendation letters which are requested. Don't submit less, or don't or even don't submit more. So if there are 3 recommendation letters asked for, make sure you submit only 3. And as a courtesy, you should always keep your recommenders updated about your progress, your application progress. They should know what step you are taking, what university you are going to, or just keep in touch with them and make sure you thank them for completing that recommendation letter. Okay. Coming to the last aspect of the application, which is the online application. So, now here we will talk about the different things that you need to remember, as well as a few other documents that some university application may or may not require. This depends on university to university, but almost all the university will require you to submit an SOP and an LORs. A few of the things from the online application which we are going to just talk about, they may or may not be required. So, depending on the application, you can add these documents as well. Okay. So, going to the online application, as I said, now all the universities take online applications. So, you do not have to submit all the documents as such, you do not have to print the documents and send them. A few universities may require 1 or 2 documents to be printed and mailed to them, but that would be clearly mentioned on the website. So, this really helps to also be able to research on the universities. All the information is available on the websites. As we were looking at the universities in the last lecture, you can find all information with respect to the application as well on the university websites. Even the documents that you email or you mail them through the snail mail, those are also again scanned and attached to your online application. The reason this is done is so that when the admission committee has a look at your application, all the documents could be together and in one format as well. You should remember that if you like 2 or more programs from the same university, it is possible that the university will not consider your application for multiple programs. You would only be considered for one particular program. So, if you are, let's say, applying for an MS in pharmaceutical sciences and an MS in regulatory science in the same university, one of those applications may not be completed. You won't get admit for both of those programs. So make sure you confirm this with the university before completing the online application. Okay. Coming to the CV or resume, it is important that you specifically look for what exactly is asked for, if it is a CV that they have asked for or if it is the resume. Both of these things are two different things. Although at this stage of your career, your CV or your resume should not be more than 1 page, but there are different aspects which need to be put into a CV as compared to a resume. So, a CV is usually a more academic requirement, where you have more academic details about your profile, whereas on the other hand a resume is more from the industry perspective, where you would want to highlight your skills and things which you are going to be using in the industry. So, you can follow standard formats for this. There are lots of formats available online, and you can have a look at them. You should also highlight your extracurricular and co-curricular achievements in the resume. This is not something which you can do in the CV, so you will have to remember that. All the professional experience in the CV is something which you can highlight along with the academic aspects, like the courses you took or some of the things from the courses that you learned, the particular aspects of the course that you liked about, or you would really want to highlight that you are an expert in. So, in that way, those are the things which you can add. A resume is also very useful when you go to the US and you are applying for on-campus jobs. At that time, having a resume prepared and ready will really help you to start applying for on-campus jobs as soon as possible. So this is going to be an important document again, but make sure you don't just make it last minute. Give it some thought and try to include all the relevant points from the 4-year course of study into the resume or the CV. Okay, a diversity statement. This is something which you may not have heard about. A few universities ask for a diversity statement. What this basically is to be able to show how you will add to the diversity at the university. This is asked by some universities as a diversity statement in their application. What they are expecting you to highlight is your upbringing and the discipline basically you learn in the Indian education system is something you can highlight here. So, when you will be going as a student to anywhere abroad, you would basically be representing India. So even your classmates, from things which you do or you don't do, they will generalize it as to this is what Indians do. So make sure you remember that you are representing your country when you are outside India. And so this diversity statement is basically where universities try to have as much diverse crowds as possible on their campuses. And so they would really want to know from you as to how you are going to add to that diversity. So how in the Indian context things are different as compared to other countries, those are the kind of things which you can highlight here. Another example is the competitiveness of the Indian education system, the entrance exams and all those things that you need to go through to get into a program at the bachelor's level. Those are other things which you can highlight as well as a positive factor. You can even highlight cultural aspects, like if someone is trained in Indian classical dance or music. So those are also some things which you can highlight in this particular statement. Okay, reporting of scores. So in your online application, you will be asked for your scores on your GRE, your TOEFL or your IELTS exams, along with the scores that you mention on the online application. They would also want the scores to be reported directly from the agencies which conduct these exams. So in case of GRE and TOEFL, it will be the ETS, and in case of IELTS it will be the British Council. So what they want is your scores to come from these sources directly to the university. So they have a department or university code for such kind of things, and they also have a set system through which you can report these scores directly to the university. So when you give your GRE exams, at the end of the exams they may ask you for names of 4 universities where you can report your GRE scores to for free of cost. And for this reason I would always suggest that you start your search for universities before giving GRE, or you start your consulting before giving your GRE, so that you have at least those 4 universities ready, so that you can report your scores to them. You can also report the scores after the exam, and it is not necessary that you have to report it at that time itself, but it's just that if you report it after, there is a charge for each of those reporting, and so it's always better to utilize those 4 universities which you can report for free, and you can save some money there. You can also another thing to remember is that not all universities will accept the scores in an electronic format. So for some universities it needs to be mailed through, so it will be mailed by the authority to the university, which takes some time, and universities would usually want all the documents to reach them before the deadline. So make sure you take this time into consideration as well with respect to scores reporting and all the requirements that you need to complete on the online application. Okay. Transcripts, this is another thing which is very commonly requested and used by the universities. For all the programs that you have completed, you need to submit the transcripts that you have in an official format. So these need to be signed and sealed in a sealed copy. It should be on official letterheads. The examination authority or registrar signature should be there on the transcript, so that it can be prove that that this is the true copy, or not a copy, but this is an actual transcript from the university, and this needs to go to the university in a sealed format itself. Some universities, in addition to the official transcript, they may also require a WES evaluation or an evaluation of your transcripts, basically to look at the how equivalent is your university grades to the American education system equivalent. So what these kind of evaluation agencies they do is they take your transcript, and based on the hours that you spend for each of those courses and the grade that you got, they will convert that grade into a format or a GPA format, which is more commonly used in the American system. and based on that they would be able to derive a GPA for your complete coursework that you have completed till now, and this GPA coursework is then used as part of your application. So this is also again an additional step which takes time. The WES is one of such agencies which evaluates the transcripts. They require the transcript to be coming directly from the university as well. And if that is not the case, that adds to the delay in completing this process. So make sure you follow all their guidelines to get all your documents in place much before your deadline as early as possible. Okay. The last part is the application fee, where almost all the universities will require you to complete an application fee payment. This fee may range from $25 to $120 depending on the university, and again this is non-refundable. You have to use an international credit card to complete this payment. If you complete all the application but the fee is not paid, your application may not be reviewed. The university may contact you to let you know that okay, the fee has not been paid, or if there is any part of the application which has not been completed, they will definitely get in touch with you. But this is something which you should also keep in mind, that will be needed to be completed to make sure that your application is submitted to the university. What you should also remember is that of course you will have a lot of questions while completing your online application. At certain points, some of the fields, some things may be taken in text, some things would require it in numbers. You may have questions about what needs to exactly go in a particular field. At that time, feel free to connect with the university directly. You can email them, the department directly. You can email them and ask them for the appropriate person who would be able to help you with your queries. You can even call them and they can provide you the answer about on anything on the application form. They are usually very helpful with that, very supportive with any queries that you may have. You remember that you have to be very courteous while you communicate with the university. Excuse me. Also, they will definitely contact you if you have any document which is missing, or if there is any information or any aspect, any document which you uploaded is not clear, or if they have any aspect of your application which they feel is incomplete, they will get in touch with you. So don't worry too much about don't email them to ask is my application complete as such. If everything is submitted online, you are able to go through the payment and everything, you can rest assured that all the aspects are taken care of. If they have any questions, they will definitely come back to you. They use emails very frequently, so if you want the answer in a quick manner, it's always better to write an email and write it in a professional manner as well. You can ask your query and they would definitely try their best to help you with any question that you have on the application. Okay, so this brings us to the end of all the online application and the documents that needs to be submitted. We have tried to cover almost all the documents that are required. If there is anything additional, it is very rare for that particular university that may be requiring that particular document, but otherwise these should take care of a majority of universities, and you should be able to complete all these applications well. Okay, thank you.